Okay, today we're making cheesecake. I know I made a cheesecake recently, however, this cheesecake is significantly less calories, it has virtually no fat, and it's macro friendly, so we'll see how it tastes. There's 4 steps to this. We're gonna make the crust, we're gonna make the filling, we're gonna cook it, and then eat it. I've never made it before, but it looks delicious, and we'll see how it turns out. Looks pretty dang good. Looking for a sponsor. As usual, the ingredients will be listed below. Go ahead and get your oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're gonna make the crust. So I have here precisely 150 grams of Kodiak Power Cakes flapjack and waffle mix. 1 cup of unsweetened applesauce, or 250 grams. Go ahead and pour that in. 8 grams of Truvia, which is the cane sugar blend. Okay, use your tiny whisk to mix all this together. Finished mixing this with my tiny whisk. So the next step is that you're gonna get your springform pan and you're gonna spray it really well with avocado oil. And then half of this mixture is gonna go on the bottom, and then we're gonna layer it up the sides, and that's gonna be a little bit tricky, but we're gonna give it a whirl. Okay, today we're using Chosen Foods avocado oil. Again, looking for a sponsor. This stuff is delicious. And by the way, it has 0 calories. It's magical. So spray the inside of your pan really, really well with olive oil. If you need to, get your little paw in there. Make sure it's evenly coated because you don't want your business to stick. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna take half of our mix here, and then we're gonna put it in the bottom, and then we're gonna spread this around. You might find that this slides around because there's oil on the bottom here. So you might need to get your hand wet and just spread this around. Do this speedy. Okay, so this is the tricky part. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm just gonna spread some of this up along the sides here. See if we can get ourselves a nice side crust. And I'm just using my paws, as you can see, spreading it up the side. Okay, here's our crust. I tried to make it as pretty as possible. So I had to wet my hand, and I also wet the spatula multiple times to get this to even out really well. And I've got it up the sides a little bit. However, this is pretty tricky stuff to work with, but that actually doesn't look too bad. The next thing is we're gonna par bake this puppy in the oven at 350 degrees for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll see what it looks like. Okay, in a large bowl, you're gonna add 1,000 grams of non-fat Greek yogurt. Okay, and then we're gonna add 1.5 ounces of sugar-free cheesecake pudding, and then 3 teaspoons of Truvia, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1/8 of a lemon, squeeze it. Make sure it's fresh. 1 tablespoon of starch, and then 300 grams of egg whites. Saucy. Mix it up with your tiny whisk. Okay, we decided to mix this up with a mixer so we can see if we can get it super fluffy. Okay, there's our cheesecake. Nice and wiggly, just like my cheeks. Because I don't want to get the olive oil all over my cheesecake crust, I'm just going to spray some on a paper towel. And then I'm just going to hit these edges again, because I don't want the cheesecake sticking to the springform pan. So next we're just going to pour in all of our cheesecake loveliness. Okay, pour that puppy in there. Nice and squeaky. Okay, spread it around with your spatula. Next, we're gonna line our springform pan, our cheesecake in it, with aluminum foil, because we don't want water up in our cheesecake. So get a nice big piece of aluminum foil. I'm using about an 18-inch. I'm just gonna lift up both sides. Okay, you're gonna make a nice little barrier for your cheesecake. Get a pan of boiling water ready, because we're gonna pour this in the cookie sheet that's sitting in the oven. Okay, pro tip. In the past, I've never lined this pan with a wire rack, but I've got smart. So I'm gonna put this up on top of the wire rack, and it helps to protect it from the water that I'm gonna put in there. Okay, pull out your pan, dump in your water. Don't dump any inside of your aluminum foil or your cheesecake's gonna get super wet and yucky. So pour that water in there, and you probably want the pan about 3/4 cup full. Then push it back in, and we're gonna cook this probably for 40 minutes and take a look at it at that point. The reason we use the water is to help prevent the cheesecake from cracking, so it's really important. Okay, how about a little bit of cheesecake science? Today we're making a cheesecake that has a high amount of protein in it. So protein tends to coagulate at high heat and then leads to cracks. Cheesecakes tend to completely cave in after baking and cooling because they're not cooked long enough and the middle of the cheesecake has not set firmly. The outer edges may fully be cooked. However, if the eggs in the center do not fully cook or coagulate, it will tend to get squishy and then sink. Temperature and coagulation are key elements to control and produce a reliably creamy and luscious and delicious cheesecake. Okay? I said cheesecake, that's fine. So why do we use a water bath? Okay, the cheesecake, when it sits in the oven, it's a very dry environment. So when you put a water bath in there, it helps to keep those edges nice and moist and help prevent cracking. So letting the cheesecake finish baking with residual heat in the oven with the door closed ensures that the center will cool slowly and fully set, and it also helps to reduce the risk of collapse when you remove it from the oven. And then a good pro tip is to add a little bit of cornstarch to your mix. Mix it in and then add the eggs in and then mix it. And the cornstarch helps to coat the protein and prevents them from tangling together. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to decrease the temperature to 300 degrees and let it sit for another 20 minutes in the oven. And then once it sits for 20 minutes, we're going to actually turn off the temperature, and then we're going to let it sit in the oven with the door closed for 1 hour. Okay, we're going to make some quick strawberry compote. So I want you to put a tablespoon of orange juice in a small pan, and a tablespoon of cornstarch, and a tablespoon of Truvia. And then we're going to use 225 grams of strawberries. Some of these I'm going to go ahead and put in a little pot here, and I'm going to kind of reduce this on a low heat. All right, in a small bowl, take the rest of your strawberries, stick them in that puppy. We kind of diced them up a little bit. And then I'm going to take my compote, my crazy compote, slap it in there. Okay, then mix it together. Okay, just for giggles, we're going to add another tablespoon of orange juice to get this a little bit more liquidy. Okay, let's see how it looks. It's been sitting for about 4 hours in the refrigerator. This always makes me nervous. Let's pop this off and see what happens. Ooh. Oh. Now, just so you're aware, I did take my knife and scoot all the way around this edge very gently. So this popped off super nicely. Okay, now you'll notice this crust is super spongy. But remember, we basically made this out of pancake batter. Okay, it's not gonna have that nice crunchy crust like you normally would have. But this is super healthy. Tons of protein, not tons of carbs, almost no fat. So this sucker is super good for your body. That's it. It's looking pretty nice. Ooh, that's looking nice. Looks pretty dang good. It's definitely not as firm as a cheesecake, and the crust, like I said, is a little squishy. But let's see how she tastes, huh? Okay, I'm gonna put some super sweet compote on here that we made. Okay, so I'm gonna taste the cheesecake first. Let's see what that tastes like. Pretty good. Definitely needs a little bit more sugar, but it's not bad. Let's taste some of the crust too, pseudo crust. Definitely tastes like pancake. Probably needs some more sugar, but overall it's not bad. For a super healthy piece of cheesecake, it's not bad. Let's try some with the compote on there. I bet it'll spice it up. It's pretty good. Definitely needs some compote on this sucker, but it's not bad. It's super healthy. Tons of protein in that. I think you'll love it. Try it. Experiment a little bit. Bye-bye. Helps to prevent premature coagulation.
Oh my gosh, that sounds terrible.
Okay, quiet on the set. Quiet on the set. Quiet on the mother grabbing set. There is our, what do you call this thing? Here's our, okay, on to the filling. So to a large bowl, you're gonna add 900 grams plus 100 of non-fat Greek yogurt. Super low calorie cheesecake. It might taste like crap. Since weight loss is not something that happens overnight, it's a journey.
Unless you're you.
Okay, lube it up. When in doubt, Cynthia, what do? No answer. When in doubt, lubricate. Quiet on the set.